friends. Today's topic is Swami Saradananda, what we can learn from him. Swami Saradananda's birthday, according to lunar calendar, was on the last Thursday. Holy Mother used to refer to Swami Saradananda as the jewel in the crown, Sharot Amar Mathar Mani. When Holy Mother would get sick, the only person she preferred to rely on was Swami Saradananda. She felt most loved, comforted, and could fully feel his empathy, kindness, and care. Because Swami Saradananda had the innate ability to serve others according to their wish and likings, rather than being all-knowing, strict, and stubborn disciplinarian. He always breached his responsibilities and obligations with unconditional love and care. After Swami Yoganandaji's passing away, he became Holy Mother's personal caretaker. Holy Mother used to say that with Swami Saradananda rested all the responsibilities, challenges, and her day-to-day problems. Holy Mother also used to say, referring to Swami Saradananda, that Sharad is my Vasuki. He is like 1,000 hooded snake who can work in 1,000 directions. Even with a drop of rainwater, he would be ready to spread the umbrella. Sharad was not an ordinary realized soul. Not only does he see Brahman everywhere, he sees me in every woman and Sri Ramakrishna in every man. No one has a pure and loving heart as his. This was Holy Mother's saying about Swami Saradananda. How he served Holy Mother for many years, about 12 or more years. After Swami Yogananda, he was the first to pass away among the monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. So, when building the Udbodhan house, that was done by Swami Saradananda when there was no money. He took mortgage, built the house, brought Mother in the Udbodhan house and served. And not only he served Holy Mother, but he took care of all her relations, brothers, sisters, whatever problem was there in Jairambati, going, whenever Mother fell sick in Jairambati, he used to go there with the doctor, all he did. And when Holy Mother was quite old and sick, and doctors used to say, take the temperature of her fever. So people wanted to put thermometer, which he called stick. So everyone comes and say, Mother, take this stick. So I dislike this stick, used to say. And people say, Mother, you have to take medicine, pills. So Saradananda used to come, Mother, please take this syrup, this medicine, and take your own time, relax and take. So she used to like very much. You see, Sarath is so kind and he knows. He says, just take, relax and take your own time to take. Others say, you have to take. This is the time doctor has said you have to take this medicine. So that was the way how Swami Saradananda used to treat the patients according to their likings, not according to his own compulsion that it has to be done on time, it has to be done this way. So his way of treating Holy Mother was the way he looked after the great Ramakrishna mission, which was just coming up. It was a huge task to become the General Secretary of Ramakrishna mission in the beginning. Put this huge growing organization on the wheels and nurturing it, and with all sorts of problems. There were enormous problems when it was beginning. He looked after this and all problems were gone, and in the way that was so incomparable, with so much of composure, kindness, so only Saradananda used to do. It is not just Holy Mother, but Swami Vivekananda, Swami Kripamayananda, and all his brother disciples consistently and faithfully dependent upon him as the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Math and the mission due to his calm, collective and steady wisdom. Through his guilelessness, unconditional love, compassion and forgiveness, the Swami used to channel monks and householders toward the goal supreme. It was Swami Vivekananda himself who called him back from the West after the founding of the Ramakrishna Math and the mission to take charge as the General Secretary of the order, and he remained in this post until his passing away in 1927 for almost 30 long years. As you can imagine, to take on such a colossal and challenging responsibility was not for the faint-hearted, but Swamiji himself understood that only Swami Saradananda and his magnanimous character, patient nature, efficient work ethic, intelligence and knowledge and sweet behavior would be the appropriate candidate to carry on and propagate the objectives of the order. Swami Vivekananda jokingly used to say, the Sarat's blood is like a sandfish, never gets boiled, he never gets excited. So peace in every situation. We'll narrate some of the incidents, how he was peace and calmful in very trying and terrible situations when any other person could be just affected. He was unaffected in all those situations. Once in Dakshineswar, Sri Ramakrishna sat on Swami Saradananda and jokingly said, "Oh, I wanted to see how much weight he can carry." Also, Sri Ramakrishna referred to him that he belonged to the class of apostles of Jesus Christ. He just sat on the lap of the boy, Sharad, and he said, "Oh, I was seeing how much weight he can carry." Like Jesus said to Peter, he is a rock and I build my church there. He can bear the weight of the church. It's not the one church, it's the whole foundation of the Christianity that started from the bearing of Saint Peter. Like that was Swami Saradananda. And Sri Ramakrishna said, in a vision he saw that Saradananda belonged to Jesus Christ in his previous incarnation. He was his apostle. In 1986, on the way to the west, he stopped over at Rome, Swami Saradananda, to visit St. Peter's Church in 1896. St. Peter's Church. In this church, he lost all his outer consciousness and became overwhelmed with spiritual fervor. When Swami Saradananda was invited to the west by Swami Vivekananda to help him. So he came to London and started giving talks. So Swami Vivekananda said, "Go to New York and establish the Vedanta Society." He came before Swami Vivekananda and started doing that work. And he was doing quite good. People liked him, his talks were there, and we started explaining Vedanta. But Swami Vivekananda went back to India and he said, "Now work done there, come, greater work starts here, and Ramakrishna Mission has to be founded, and you have to take the charge of the Ramakrishna Mission." How symbolic was Sri Ramakrishna's sitting on his lap, Swami Vivekananda choosing him as the first secretary, and he bearing this whole weight of this thing. And when Swami Saradananda was going back to India from the west, so he went through Italy and he went to Vatican. And in the Vatican he saw all the places, and when he went to Sistine Chapel, that beautiful chapel with all this Michelangelo's painting, he went into deep samadhi and had these spiritual visions there. So it is all proof how he was connected. In the life we don't know, but Sri Ramakrishna could see how he was connected with Jesus in his previous incarnation. Swami Saradananda was embodiment of humility. So once a visitor came to Udbodhan office and he wanted to meet Swami Saradananda, the General Secretary of the order. And Saradananda was there unassuming with ordinary dress, and gentleman asked, "I want to meet Swami Saradananda, but who you are?" He said, "I am the doorkeeper of this building," what he would say. And then after some time found he was the one General Secretary. So there was so much humility in Swami Saradananda. Never he expressed anything like that. and his compassion. Once a young householder devotee's father had passed away. He came to Swami Saradananda grief-stricken and expressed his desire to perform his father's last rites in Gaya as per Hindu tradition. But he was too poor to travel to Gaya and perform his father's rites. Swami Saradananda quietly listened and did not respond. Next couple of days, one of the monks of the order was traveling towards Gaya to visit one of our centers. Swami Saradananda gave the monk some money and instructed him to perform the last rites on behalf of this young man in the name of his father. What is that great in that? There is a great thing in that, because monks are not supposed to do this last rites, this shraddha. They are not supposed to do after they become the monk. But Swami Saradananda took off all the rules, all the rituals. His heart was so big. He said, you must do this for this, giving away all the rules. He said, you must do this to fulfill the wishes of this young man who himself cannot travel there. Once a young brahmachari couldn't help but raise some doubts in his own mind that Sharat Maharaj must be up to something no good. This is like Kokani thing. There was another incident. He used to visit all the persons who were sick. Some lanes of Calcutta were so narrow, and Swami Saradananda was quite bulky. Sometimes to travel to the house of the poor person in the narrow lanes, he couldn't walk straight, it was so narrow. And he had to walk on the side. To walk on the side he had to go and reach the person. So this brahmachari saw Swami Saradananda every day, he goes somewhere. And he started having doubt where he goes after meals instead of resting. So some doubt came to that person. Failing to control his doubting mind, this brahmachari one day followed Swami Saradananda to a remote lane, to a dilapidated house. He quietly looked through the window and saw Sharat Maharaj sitting on the same bed, chatting and comforting another middle-aged man who happened to have TB. So this brahmachari was doubting on the character of Swami Saradananda, and he was saying, he's such a great person, he's sitting on the person of TV and talking nothing. What he thought was there. We remember the incident in the life of Swami Yogananda. He also doubted one Swami Sri Ramakrishna. Where does he go during daytime? Does he go to his wife or what happens? So Sri Ramakrishna went and Swami Yogananda started following him. And he was a little late and Sri Ramakrishna had a little gone earlier. So he thought he must be, his wife, Swami's Holy Mother lives here, he must be inside that. So he started waiting outside to catch Sri Ramakrishna. So after some time, Sri Ramakrishna comes from the pine grove where he used to go to answer to the nature's call. And this Yogananda was just stricken, frozen there to feel this way. And Sri Ramakrishna could understand everything. And he said, you have done right. You should taste a holy man in daytime and also at night. So you have done right. He appreciated Yogananda's doubt. The same thing to this brahmachari. When he saw what he had doubted and what Swami Saradananda is doing every day, coming to this old man, sick man, having TB, and then he came outside and fell. And Swami Saradananda waiting outside, Saradananda, after talking to this man, came out and he fell at his feet. And he was a so humble person, Swami Saradananda, didn't say anything. And just everything was just resolved. Swami Saradananda was also, he ran this organization after Swami Vivekananda running this. For 30 years was not a joke. It's a very difficult task. And they were, in the beginning, there were so many problems, some of the inmates, some of the monks, they revolted, some wanted to grab some part of the ashram. So all he has to contain all those things. So many difficult, and moreover was the freedom fighters that time, whom the British rulers used to call terrorists. They were caught and found having Swami Vivekananda's book and the Gita. So they thought this Swami Vivekananda means Ramakrishna mission. So there must be Ramakrishna mission, must be inspiring them to go against the crown. So they started having dawat towards the Belur Math as a center of, in their language, terrorism. So they even put an order to ban Belur Math. And it was published in the Gazette that Belur Math is a not right organization, it's a terrorist organization. So after seeing that, what was our difficulty? Not that they went to close it, but they might close it. And people stopped donations because they cannot donate a terrorist organization. Now how to explain to these great rulers, we are a small organization still that growing, not so famous. So Holy Mother said to Swami Saradananda, why don't you go and explain to the Lord, Viceroy there in the governor's house. So he said, how Viceroy is such a big in government position, why will he listen to me? But getting the Holy Mother's blessing, he went there, he talked with Viceroy. Then they came to, and also there was the help from MacLeod, Swami Vivekananda's admirer, who never said, I am Swami Vivekananda's disciple. I am a friend of Swami Vivekananda, MacLeod used to say. But her love for Swami Vivekananda was much more greater than the disciple for a guru. And she had some acquaintance with the wife of the governor, and she also told, and Swami Saradananda went, and Swami Saradananda could explain, and it was resolved. And then it was published again in the Gazette, in the government official papers, that it was not as we had thought, so they revoked it, took away the blame, that, and everything went smooth. So like that was the situation always coming. The Governor General came to visit Belur Math, and there Swami Saradananda welcomed him, and he had to go to the temple inside, and generally they go with shoes. So Swami, when he was at the steps, just climbing the stairs, Swami Saradananda himself, that big bodied person, bent down, opened the lace of the shoes of Governor General. Just you can imagine his humility. He could have called any other person, any other worker. There were so many people. Can you open the shoes? Or the Viceroy himself would have opened. He was a guest, and for him there was nothing. As Holy Mother said, Swami Saradananda would see Sri Ramakrishna in every man, and Sarada Devi in every woman. That was his vision. Sri Ramakrishna, when Swami Saradananda started visiting Sri Ramakrishna, and he was already very devoted. And Swami Sri Ramakrishna asked, what type of God realization you want? You want to have the vision of God, you want to have the mantra in the shining letters, you want to have the feeling of going into deep samadhi, what type of realization you want? Swami Saradananda said, I don't want to have any vision of form of God. Then what do you want? I want to see God in everything, in every being. Sri Ramakrishna was very pleased, and he said, oh, but that is the last of the spiritual quest, the highest realization. Vijnani, when one sees God in every being. So, but that he had asked from Sri Ramakrishna, and he had experienced that thing. Holy Mother also certified that. After Swami Vivekananda's passing away, many of the monks of the order became extremely restless and wished to renounce all work and lead a life of solitude. This started a big chaos within the order. Since most of the monks were his contemporaries, Sharat Maharaj, or Swami Saradananda, realized that it would be inappropriate and counterproductive to force them back to their regular duties as an order from the General Secretary. He could have said, as a General Secretary, I say that you cannot go for meditation in solitude. How the work of the order will go on. What did he do? But instead of doing that, he said, he called a general meeting. In this meeting, he reminded everyone regarding their responsibilities towards the Ramakrishna order and appealed to everyone's cooperation. He also reminded them that it was not his wish to be the General Secretary of the order. Rather, he was chosen by Swami Vivekananda himself. Therefore, coming forward and helping him would be actually helping Swami Vivekananda. Then he said, now you all tell me, would you rather give your life to Swamiji for the next 5 years to do Thakur's work, or live a life of solitude? Amazingly, all the monks understood the message and its meaning. and realized that serving God in men is as important a spiritual practice as performing tapasya in solitude. A new devotee once came to Mutt and said, "I have come here to be among monastic holy company." We often want to do holy company, then we go to monks or holy other holy man. So this person came to have the holy company. And how nicely Swami Saradananda taught him to see what holy company is. Swami Saradananda replied, "Look, for months and years, many servants, priests, Brahmins and workers spend their time with Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar. But I didn't see any noticeable change in their lives. Therefore, simply going to a sadhu doesn't necessarily mean having holy spiritual company in the truest sense of the form." Then this devotee wished to renounce samsara. So if that is not true, then I want to become a monk. Sharad Maharaj replied, "Look, you want to renounce samsara? You want to become a monk? I myself couldn't do it. See how much I am involved in it. Don't ever think that only having wife and children represents samsara. Having a body means samsara. As long as you have this body, its needs must be met. Hence, I couldn't renounce samsara. In order to maintain this body, it must be protected from heat and cold and nurtured by many other physical things. In that case, then where is the renunciation of samsara? Hence the feeling is, samsara is not outside, it's in your mind. If it is in your mind, then there is no point of renouncing external samsara. And if your mind is not in samsara, then external samsara can do no harm to you. So that's how he explained to him that renouncing the world may not be productive for you, may not be useful for you. The main thing is internal renunciation. How beautifully Swami Saradananda explained to this person. He was like that, he used to teach. Now let's see from his life after his incidents, let's see from his life. He was born on 23rd December 1865. His parents were quite well-to-do in Calcutta. They had a medical store and quite rich persons. He had a cousin in his parents' rural village. It's called Mayal Chapur. And there, his cousin was Shashi Bhushan Chakravarti. Saradananda's name was Sharad Chakravarti. So Shashi was his cousin and he used to stay with Saradananda for studying in the college. Saradananda was quite good in studies, very, very quiet person, didn't quarrel with anyone. People who didn't understand thought him to be like not very sharp and intelligent, but he used to be always topper in class. So he studied very well. And he used to see his mother doing worship, and from that he absorbed his love for God by seeing his mother's love and worship of God. He was exceptionally kind from his very, very childhood in his life. When he was a young boy, and he heard that in the neighborhood, one maid servant got cholera. There was no medicine, no antibiotic, so cholera was infectious. And that maid servant was just discarded. When she was asked to stay at the roof, not that she was thrown on the road, but asked to stay in the roof without any care. People were scared, the household people were scared to tend her, to take her care. Swami Saradananda, neighbor, a boy, he heard this and he asked that person, "Can I take the care of this lady?" So he came, talked with her, spoke with her, it was advanced stage, and she couldn't survive with his care and service. She died. But this boy took all the responsibility to have the last rites of this lady who was not related, whom he didn't know. That was his heart. Always he was that soft, loving heart that Swami Saradananda had from his very boyhood. He passed his first arts examination in 1885. It's like higher secondary nowadays. And his father wanted him to study medicine. Swami Saradananda was not much interested. He met Sri Ramakrishna asked Swami Saradananda Sharad to meet Swami Vivekananda. So when he goes to meet Swami Vivekananda, he finds, I know this person. And he is very egoistic person. Somehow he had met Narendranath earlier and had made the opinion that Narendranath is very egoistic because he was such a great personality. Somehow he had that opinion made. But Sri Ramakrishna had praised the Lord, praised for Narendranath, and then said, go and meet him. You see how he brought this together. And when Swami Sri Ramakrishna had so much praise, he believed that he was different than what he thought of him. He went there and he was surprised. Oh, this egoistic man has so great qualities that my Guru is saying about him. And after that, the bond was very strong and it lasted forever. When Swami Vivekananda came back from the West and wanted to establish the Ramakrishna mission with a motto of service to the world, monastic people, monks, have to dedicate for the service of the world. So many people, many devotees couldn't accept that. They said, Sri Ramakrishna never said. Sri Ramakrishna said, God realization is the goal. Do prayer, do tapas, do chanting, do meditation, and realize God. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. He heard something in the West and brought that thing here. It's not Sri Ramakrishna's idea, it's some Western idea. Already there were Western people engaged themselves, the convents, the churches involved in teaching, in making hospitals. So there was opposition from disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Even from monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna thought it was something just exotic and it's not our culture and it's not Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. Those who believed what Narendranath said was not different from Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. One was Swami Brahmananda, another was Swami Akhandananda, and another was Swami Saradananda. He always had so much of bond of love and faith in Swami Vivekananda that what he speaks is not his thing. He knew who Swami Vivekananda was. Swami Vivekananda's ego was taken away and all was filled with Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's ego was taken away and was filled with Holy Divine Mother, Mother Kali. And here it was all Sri Ramakrishna inside. So this Sharad could understand that. And that's how this great relation grew with Narendranath after he met him. And Narendranath said, you should go and study medicine. His father told he was not agreeing, but Narendranath told he got admission. Though he couldn't complete it, Sri Ramakrishna became sick. He came to serve him, then he renounced with the inspiration and all that. But he was in the medical student in medical college in Calcutta. In Baranagar Mutt, when Swami Saradananda went there, the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna had different qualities. One was serving the people, worshipping the relics, Swami Ramakrishnananda. He used to worship the relics of Sri Ramakrishna as if he is taking care of living Sri Ramakrishna. Feeding on time, wiping, offering flowers, offering food on time, everything. Once there was a rain coming, he took the umbrella and till the rain stopped, he was with the umbrella. That was not a single drop, so the ceiling, the roof was old, it was a dilapidated house. And kept whole night awake that not a single drop should fall on that urn where the ashes were kept. It would wait Sri Ramakrishna, the living person. That was Swami Ramakrishnananda. Another was, he said, I want to study the Vedanta, the scriptures. And he didn't participate much in the household duties of the mutt. And he was always immersed in studies. And he was Swami Abhedananda. Even the brothers of the inmates complained, he is only studying, not participating in cooking food, cleaning things, sweeping floors. Who will do that? They complained to the leader, Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda said, if one of us wants to devote time in learning scriptures, why do you complain? What he should do? He said, he doesn't do anything, not cleaning utensils, not sweeping the floors. I will do what he is supposed to do. I will do for him. Let him study. That was Swami Abhedananda. And Swami Saradananda, what he used to do? He used to take the most difficult thing of the household, of the monastery, sweeping the floor, wiping this, cleaning the big utensils, all he used to do. And Ramakrishnananda, though he was like a mother of the house, when all were immersed in meditation, his cousin Ramakrishnananda. Ramakrishnananda also, Sri Ramakrishna had said, he was with Jesus. And he used to, one day, all are immersed in meditation from morning till afternoon, no food, nothing there, and there was no rice, no cereals, nothing to feed them. Swami Ramakrishnananda went out, baked something, and very few people know about the order. And they were not very sympathetic also to the people that they left young man leaving house and becoming monk. That was not much tradition. They were not sympathetic. Somehow he got a little rice and few potatoes, boiled them, made into a ball, and went to the brother disciples, brother monks who were in deep meditation, shook them, and when they opened their mouth and put the ball, small balls of rice and potato mashed together and put in the mouth. And after that, when meditation was finished, they said, we had never tasted such a tasty food in our life, brother disciples, they said. So that was Swami Ramakrishnananda, but Swami Saradananda's role was to do the hardest work. Swami Veeraswarananda used to say the spirit of renunciation, how it works. He came to see a monastery in Sri Lanka, and he said he found they used to use, there was no electricity, they used to use the hurricane lamp, the kerosene lamp. And there were a few kerosene lamps. One brother had the duty to clean it and keep it filled with kerosene and keep it. And he said in the evening when there was time to pick up the kerosene lamp, the brothers, the inmates of the monastery, they used to rush to pick up the lamps. Then he asked, everything is so disciplined, why it seems to be a little chaotic when it comes to pick up the lamps, hurricane lamps? Then someone told that because one of the lamp is little defective and its wick doesn't stand. You have to hold on to the wick. The machine which keeps the wick at its position is not working nicely. Then, what do we think? All will rush so that they don't get that. But that was not the case. All rushed first to get that and again, so that all others get the good one, easier one, the best one. That is the spirit of renunciation Swami Veeraswarananda learned from the Christian church monastery in Sri Lanka. So that spirit is what we find in Swami Saradananda ji also. The most difficult work he will do. When Swami Saradananda came back from the West, Swami Vivekananda asked him to give lectures, besides being the General Secretary. He gave a series of lectures in Albert Hall in Calcutta on Vedanta. And about the freedom movement and people joining the order. Order started growing. The freedom fighters, who were called terrorists by the Britishers, by the rulers, some of them were disillusioned and they thought that only making the country free is a small part of life. This life, whole life has to be dedicated for the greater service of the society. So they wanted to give up their movement for freedom fighting and wanted to dedicate themselves to become a monk so that whole life they will be serving the society. That is the greater real service they thought. And people started joining whose name was there in the government's list as the terrorists. Now when they started joining, so there was complaint, police were keeping eye that all those terrorists are going there. So they joined the orders and there was opposition from other monks. But Swami Saradananda said they have given up their activity, violent activity, and they want to become monk. Why shouldn't we accept them? So they were accepted. After that, pressure started coming that they should be removed from the order because government will create problems. Then Holy Mother stepped in that they will remain in the order. By no person's wish they will be removed away. So that was Holy Mother's compassion. to support Swami Saradananda's action, that one who has come, given up everything and come to serve Sri Ramakrishna has to be allowed to serve him. He was so compassionate and was ready to take all the troubles, whatever it meant, for the sake of those persons. Swami Saradananda was the one, I think only one monastic disciple of Sri Ramakrishna who was trained in Tantra Sadhana under his uncle. His uncle was a great Tantrika, Ishwar Chandra Chakravarti. He learned the Tantra Sadhana and later on wrote the book on that, the worship of the Divine Mother in India. After Swami Vivekananda's passing away, he built a house for Holy Mother, and it was completed in 1908 in Calcutta. And Holy Mother started staying in Calcutta for many months in a year, and sometimes she would go back to Jairambati and stay there. Sarada Devi was served so much nicely by Swami Saradananda that his service was incomparable, and she always relied on Swami Saradananda for her service. After the death of Holy Mother in 1920 and Swami Brahmananda in 1922, Swami Saradananda gradually withdrew from active work. In fact, after Swami Brahmananda passed away, the order wanted Swami Saradananda to become the president in 1922, president of the order. Second, he was chosen, but Swami Saradananda declined it. He was never for post and all those things. And how did he decline? He said, Swami Vivekananda has made me general secretary. I will remain in this post. I will not become anything else. So he just relinquished, and Swami Shivananda became the second president of the order. All was so great. Every brother monk of Swami Vivekananda were so great spiritual luminaries. In 1926, a convention was organized in Belur Math. From all over the world, many devotees and monks of the Ramakrishna order came and met, and Swami Saradananda inspired them to work, to cling to the ideal and not to be complacent. That was the first convention of the Belur Math, and the next happened in 1986 or something. In 1980s, during Swami Vivekananda's presidency. After the convention, Swami Saradananda withdrew from general secretaryship, and he was suffering. Swami Saradananda suffered from kidney trouble. He was very bulky body he had. He suffered from kidney trouble in 1914, and that went on. He suffered from various other ailments, and after his retirement from an active life in 1926, his afflictions got more serious. On August 6, 1927, he suffered an attack with the doctors diagnosed as apoplexy. He never recovered consciousness and died on August 19, 1927. Once Swami Saradananda was in Kashmir, and he was on a horse carriage. The horse somehow went in a ridge, and it fell down. It just went down. The chariot was turned upside down, and Swami Saradananda was luckily saved. He could have gone downhill and died. He was luckily saved, but he came back, as if nothing happened. People asked, how do you manage? Oh, I was just witnessing the thing. The incidents were happening. I was just witnessing what is happening. Someone is falling, some horse fell down, the chariot turned upside down, his body was falling down. I was just seeing the thing. No change, nothing was there. Another time he was crossing Ganga and having a haval bubble. He used to smoke haval bubble, very relaxed. And in the middle of the Ganga, then a storm came and he started rocking the boat, and boat was almost going to sink. He had one lay devotee of Sri Ramakrishna who was also coming with Swami Saradananda. All they thought that boat will sink and they will die. But this Swami Saradananda was sitting, as if nothing had happened. It was rocking, but he was going on smoking hubble. That friend of his came, disciple of devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, he came and he said, "What are you doing? We are going to die. You have no problem. You seem to be no problem." But he was drinking. The man became so angry, he took the hubble bubble from his hand and threw it on the Ganga. What is this person? Not disturbed at all. So after some time, that storm stopped and they easily crossed, nothing happened, nobody died. Then he asked, "Why are you behaving like that when it was so difficult time?" He said, "If I was worried and disturbed like you, was the storm going to stop? Whatever would happen, I didn't know I could swim. So many people didn't know swimming, the water was very rough. That's why I had to wait patiently." That was his saying. So much patience, incomparable, not seen. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, he never gets excited. He has no human blood. There is the blood of some sandfish. Sandfish is very sluggish, he doesn't get excited. Like that, it seems he is never disturbed by any incident, any saying, any problem. So quiet, so composed. Realized soul are there, no doubt. But when they come to Maya, some may get something. Swami Vivekananda used to be very restless, used to be very angry when something didn't happen according to his choice. Once on celebration, Swami Vivekananda was not coming down to see how the preparation was going on. One brother disciple said, his disciple said, "Swamiji, why aren't you going down? They are all getting ready for the celebration." He said, "If I go down, I will see some people are not doing right things, then I cannot stand and I will rebuke them, I will scold them. That will not be good in their mood, so I just stay away from them." That was Swami Kripamayananda. Very impatient when the word comes. But Swami Saradananda was very, very patient. Once, what happened with that story I tell, I've completed the talk today. Swami Turiyananda was very sick at last stage in Varanasi. So brother monks came to see him. One of them was Swami Saradananda, so much respected General Secretary of the order. And Swami Saradananda came and he prostrated on the ground, on the floor, when Swami Turiyananda was on the bed. And Swami Turiyananda couldn't see correctly and he asked, "Who is there?" He said, "I am Sarat." And he understood someone prostrated. "Brother, why are you embarrassing me?" He said, "I am not embarrassing you. I know the greatness of you, Swami Turiyananda ji. Hari Bhai, how great soul you are. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, you are the yogi who has perfected the teachings of the Gita." That young man himself, Swami Sri Ramakrishna used to say, he has perfected the yogi of the Gita personified is Swami Turiyananda. I am giving respect to that yogi. Then Swami Turiyananda says, "Have I forgotten your greatness?" Then Turiyananda started saying the greatness of Swami Saradananda ji. Then he said, "Brother, do you remember? You and I were walking in the forest trying to reach a village and it became evening, night fell and we lost the way. And when we were walking through the forest, a diversion of the way came. There were two ways going. We are not sure which way goes to the village. So I took one way, you took another. And we said that when you reach village, then other person, if he lost, will be shot. When I went to this forest, village was too far away and I went almost, it was little time left for being morning. And when I collected the villagers, it was already morning. So when they broke, I came in search of you. It was infested by ferocious animals, by tigers. And what we see, we searched you and we came to the way where you went. And then, just it was morning, sun was just rising. And you were sitting on a rock, totally oblivious of day breaking, sun rising. You were in deep meditation, you were in deep samadhi. And the forest was infested with animals. Don't I know your greatness? Don't I know your fearlessness? You were not afraid of death, nothing was there. When you found you have lost the way, you are going deeper into the forest, you came and just sat on the rock and started meditation without trying anything, running anywhere. And so deep meditation, whole night he meditated. Morning also is not breaking. Swami Turiyananda villagers came and saw that person is in deep meditation. So Swami Turiyananda says, you are talking about my greatness. I know how great you are. That was Swami Saradananda, about whom Holy Mother said, he is not like ordinary knowers of God, realized soul. He sees Sri Ramakrishna in every man and me in every woman. So may that the spirit of Swami Saradananda bless us, and may we be able to see God in everything.